All right, everybody, calm down out there. We're getting ready to start. I'm not bossing you around. It was all facetious. Thanks for joining us here again this weekend. It is Rick Wagner here, getting it right at our War on Wrong here on the Rick Wagner Show. These are all things that, are associated with the show over the years. I should probably put them out there so that you can find us. And you can find us on the Internet, of course, at the website I built, The Political Viking, or just politicalviking.com, all one word, or therickWagnerShow.com, or thewaronwrong.com. All three of those lead to the same spot. Go there and check out a bunch of stuff. It's frighteningly full of information. Only read a few minutes of it at any given time if you want to, because you don't want to get too deep into it if you're already kind of depressed about something, you're the contestant you thought was going to win on The Masked Singer or whatever it is, and it didn't turn out that way, and, it's kind of made everybody down. So, judge your mood accordingly. By the way, is that the weirdest thing? I don't want to insult anybody out there that likes it. I don't understand it. Now they're having on one of the TV stations, shows or channels rather. Jesus, I'm starting to sound like my grandmother. One of the networks, I think it's the over-air network. Or now we're going to have like virtual. So people will be singing, and there'll be like projections of their avatars, which will be like, I think, chickens and like galoshes and all sorts of these things that they imagine themselves to be. And then, so that'll be fantastic entertainment. But I'm just missing the point. I realize that. But that's what passes for entertainment these days. And they wonder why people aren't watching as much television, or not watching certainly network shows. Or, gosh, the Tonys were great this year, weren't they? I'm sure all of you watched that. I just watched some clips from it. And, of course, because I'm a masochist, I guess, and it's terrible. The Tonys are the awards they give on Broadway. I don't know what I would do if I were someplace that I had the opportunity to go to a Broadway show. I mean, years ago, I thought it would be kind of fun once in a while, and I went to, a few. I don't know if the ticket was free, what I would go to. And they're not free. Like, I think that, like, the regular ticket, like Hamilton, that plays like $350. That's just not going to happen with me. No, I'm sorry. And I don't think I'd like it all that well. And some of them out there are, just torments. Everything is woke on Broadway now. That's why I checked it out, the clips of it. Everything's woke and about, you would think that we had just emerged from the Civil War, and we were, having sort of competing visions. We were having D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation on the one hand, and then we were having other people fighting those kinds of racist images on the other. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the Democrats would like you to believe that we're living in 1954, 52 America in the Deep South, with where there's still problems, which, by the way, anybody that wants to look at sort of the race relations in the United States, it's an interesting study, especially when you consider the migration of individuals from the South to some of the Northeast and the Great Lakes areas for jobs. And it's interesting how that happened, and then how when those jobs disappeared, it just abandoned so many people of all races, and many of folks who had come up, from the South because the jobs paid better at these manufacturing, and they get trained to do them, and then the jobs dried up, and then there they are, right? And it's fascinating to see. And then, of course, there's this endless, and I mean endless because it's still going on, this endless Great Society push to throw money at problems that money has little to do with solving, and has a lot to do with making things worse. I will recommend again Amity Shlail's book, The Great Society. If you like The Forgotten Man, and if you read it, I know you liked it, you'll like this too. And we have some great videos out there. I think I have one up on the website. I'm going to have to look. I think it's still up there, with her discussion about, we have one at the bottom of the page there, the Great Society on welfare state, as a war on poverty or a war on the poor. And it's a great lecture by her, and you really feel like you have your arms around kind of what was happening that kicked off all of these, many of which were very ultimately damaging programs that are all based in the idea that someone else knows what's better for a whole other group of people, sliding into the a little more self-serving. Well, if we give people things and they'll vote for us, you start mixing those things together, and the people that are in that situation, that are being subjected to that, never really get the opportunities they deserve. And we still see that. Anyway, this section I wanted to talk a little bit about. First of all, many of you they're listening to us on the internet or KGLN or a couple, 3 other places. 1100 KNZZ and 92.7, they have a football game on today. And oftentimes when that happens, we get preempted and one of our older shows run. But I just felt there was too much going on, so I wanted to come in and try and do something that was going to appear on the internet, and of course our podcast people, we put those up as well, and for people who aren't getting the football game, hopefully you're listening, and I want to give you something since it's been such a weirdly eventful week. One of the things we want to talk about is money. Money is a commodity that we create. It's not really even a commodity. It is a perception. We assign value to things, and we use those to trade for goods and services instead of just a pure barter economy. Now, we all make jokes about clams and shells and all that kind of thing, and possibly there was a time when those were what was traded. Probably were really pretty stuff. You know, you find a pretty shell, you trade it to somebody else for half a sandwich, go back to your cave, you eat that, and look for more shells. I mean, we're not too far away from that right now. And as that grows, we assign value to things. Now, for reasons that are always fascinating to me is the precious metals. Right away, you get a tip-off to what we're talking about there. Gold, silver, even copper, any of these shiny, these shiny, very sort of pure metals we've decided to have great value. And if you stop and think about it, how did that happen? And if you study history, it's hard to quite figure out where people decided that gold was so valuable. But, if you've ever held some pure gold, it has a real feel to it. It has a weight. It has a shine, a look to it. It has a feeling. I don't want to describe it as greasy because that sounds bad, but like a smooth kind of feel to it. I mean, often we hold on to what we think are high-quality gold items, and they may be, but very few things that we touch are pure gold because it's so soft. It's very difficult to make things out of them, have them stand up to just day-to-day wear. If you were to get a ring and it was pure gold, practically every time you grabbed something and squeezed on it toward that ring would deform. If you had a gold necklace, it would be easy to catch it on something and it would just pull apart. So, we alloy it with things to make it stronger. But it has a feeling. Silver is a lot the same way. So for whatever reason, we've decided that because not only are these things rare, but they appeal to our aesthetic senses, that they have great value. And we have come up with systems where we either trade those or for a long time traded pieces of paper that symbolized gold, silver, precious metals. And we had that when we were based on the gold standard, right? We issued paper money based on how much gold we had. And the theory being that dollar bill was worth $1 worth of gold. Then we went to silver, and then we went to just making it up as we go along, which is letting your currency float, which is essentially turning your currency into like little tiny stock certificates. Your currency is worth what people believe it's worth, the soundness of your economy and what they can trade those little pieces of paper for. They no longer are traded in for pieces of precious metal or anything. So the currency floats on people's perceptions out there. And that's one of the reasons the market out there there's a market, of course, for foreign exchange. It bounces around, about what your dollar is worth overseas versus what may be the pound note, which they don't really have much anymore, but a euro and so forth. We'll be back and we're going to talk about why this is important in just a minute. Stick with us.